I spent in China. I had some fun in Chinatown. In front my door, out on the street, I heard music, it was sounding sweet. I look outside to see who was playing. It was some Chinese playing music for me. Wang sing pung pong, chang sing woo wang, pung wang chong. That's how they song. Tingling ping, tingling pang, pung sing pung wing, wang woo wing. That's how they sing. Chinese parang, Chinese parang, Chinese parang, wang wang wang. Chinese parang, Chinese parang, Chinese parang. Give me just to Taiwan.
One time, two time, two time. Oh.
I open my door and invite them in. The leader of the band start introducing. One name Ling Long, he write the song. One name Ling Sing, he kept on singing. Mr. Ping Chang.
Yes indeed, yes indeed. It's Christmas in Trinidad and Tobago. And of course, the corridor transformation, no exception. And let's enjoy this shiny parang.
Chingling pong bang pong sing wing, pong bang ching. That's how they sing. Shiny parang, shiny parang, shiny parang, wang wang wang. Shiny parang, shiny parang, shiny parang. Give me Jasu Kaifan.
Oh yeah. 1, 2, 3, yeah.
The girls in the band sounding real sweet. I had no choice but to move my feet. Suli on top top, Kim Loy on bass, Mailing dancing and rolling she waist. Mr. Ping Shang kept on in his quattro, but what they say.
Yes indeed. Welcome solidly to the corridor transformation. Of course, your host Lennox Smith. Don't forget, of course, our friends in Trinidad, East, West, North, Central, our friends in Tobago, and wherever you are streaming on the World Wide Web, on YouTube or Facebook. Pleasant good night to you. Yes, this is, of course, Trinidad and Tobago, and of course, Christmas style. But of course, we have very important issues to discuss, which of course we will intermingle, intermix, and of course, at the end of the day, get solutions for the problems of Trinidad and Tobago, in spite of the festivity and in spite of the enjoyment that we normally will experience culturally in Trinidad and Tobago. Let's hear the Chinese parang.
They came in my kitchen and at my table they were staring. I offered them ham, turkey and fowl, but all they wanted was just to cat and fowl. Bong sing bong bong chong sing woo wang, bong song bong. That's how they song. Jingling wang, jingling ping, bong sing bong bang, bong wang wing. That's how they sing. Chinese parang, Chinese parang, Chinese parang, wang wang wang. Chinese parang, Chinese parang, Chinese parang. Give it Jasu Kaifan.
Yes, indeed. Of course, you know, all good things come to an end as bad things as well. And of course, what we are focused on is the bad things in Trinidad and Tobago that is affected, even of course our Christmas, because it may well be, because of course the date is the 19th, so it was told to us by the Minister of Finance. And of course, we have as well the, I would say, the fake rage of the Prime Minister in an attempt, of course, to extract a political fodder from, of course, a PS that wanted, of course, to direct, from my understanding of it, but of course, the Rowley and they, as a political, what I consider to be political cabal, political avarice, will of course convert it to some kind of political opportunity for them, and to present themselves to us as some fake, and I repeat, and the operating word is fake fake concern for public servants and people in general around this time. Because, of course, Dr. Rowley was in public and of course, at his press conference, when he told us that a permanent secretary was attempting, of course, to undermine the wishes of the government in order to pay public servants. And of course, that person came from the Ministry of Education. And of course, that person was summarily the subject of the victimization and the malicious and evil conduct of an abuse, of course, of office by this government, because he was sent immediately on leave and then, of course, to return to another ministry. That is the heavy-handedness and the strongman tactics that this man, this Rowley administration has demonstrated since 2015. Of course, we were, of course, warned by Patrick Manning, and of course, we were warned as well, as we observed, even when we were at one of the government radio stations, the ground report that is, we told people that the man is a rapist and a pedophile, and of course he ought not to be in government. Well, we have seen, of course, all of that, and any port for a storm just to get political leverage, political further political mileage, as we saw, of course, and he would demonstrate these too often for us not to be the wiser now. Too often for us not to be the wiser now, as he, of course, will use instances like that. Remember when he told us that somebody wanted to kill him both here in Trinidad and in Tobago before the 2015 elections, and then, of course, he went on only in 2020 to tell us that he ain't no monkey, and somebody giving him what? Bananas and all kind of hogwash, and all of that was merely, of course, to not deliver, do badly, undermine our democracy, and at the same time looking for sympathy in order, of course, to stay in office, to continue to do us evil. Well, you only had to be a fool to do the same thing over and over and expect a different result, unless, of course, you are totally insane and a certified lunatic to be lured and to be, of course, deceived into that kind of what I consider to be political, selfish, and, of course, self-serving utterances, because it is just utterances, verbalization, but very expensive to you, me, and of course the country and the management thereof. But of course, we have some very important issues that are taken. But before I go there, in terms of course of the Venezuela, Guyana conflict and the role Rowley would have played, or what the illusionary and even though he was there present, I'm talking about, of course, the foreign affairs minister. I'm talking about, of course, Amory Brown. Amory Brown. I mean, it is fantastic that they could believe that they could continuously insult our collective and independent intelligence in the way that they have been attempting to do since 2015. But that being as it may, of course, there are other disquieting things, like, for example, the crime situation. And I thought it was important, of course, to emphasize tonight the whole question of our elderly, apart from the young ones engaging in crime and criminality, house breakings, of course, the murders, of course, total and absolute mayhem as a consequence, whether it's robberies, whether it's hijacking, whether it's carjacking, and we can go on and on in terms of the serious crimes that are being committed in this country. But we have a phenomenon developing, but that I thought I should bring to your attention. But again, to pin it squarely and solely to the chest of the present administration, because there must be a reason why elderlies are engaging in shoplifting. You must say, I said the elderlies are engaged in shoplifting. And then, of course, you have this government as if they have a curse, as if they are destined to, of course, torture Trinidad and Tobago. We see it in manifesting itself in other areas that I thought I should bring tonight, that to your attention. Now, that being as it may, just give me a little second. Let me just get the fan to organize. You would forgive me. Nobody is here with me tonight. Let me make sure I get this. All right. Right. Want to make sure that I'm not over dehydrated tonight, and of course the sweat and so on will be the consequence. So there's a fan, of course, there's an air conditioner as well, but sometimes it doesn't do the job that as efficiently as one would like. So we have to, of course, augment it with a fan. That being as it may, let's continue, of course, with this matter. Well, of course, as I said, there is this disquieting situation with respect, of course, to crime and criminality. But I just want to give an overview because tomorrow on the early morning program, the 8 to 10 program, Dr. Khaled and myself, we're certainly going to extrapolate and we are going to elaborate on the pros and cons, what has happened in St. Vincent, of course, consequential of that, what I consider to be facilitatory exercise for dialogue. It has nothing to do with, of course, settling the matter, except for ensuring that the parties, the Guyanese president in this case, as well as the Venezuelan president, meet face to face and engage in discussion. We saw the handshakes, we saw the communique that came out. I'm going to present that tomorrow as well on the program tomorrow, so you'll have a look at that in terms of the, I think it is what, five areas, I believe, 5 or 6 areas. Let me don't guess, but tomorrow, of course, we will bring the entire what I would say joint communique coming out of that. It is called the Argyle, of course, accord or communique, which has been agreed by both parties. The only problem here is this, and I want you to take note, the only problem is this, that while, of course, the Guyanese is prepared to talk about any other thing except on the matter that has brought the involvement not only of the United Nations General Secretary and the United Nations Court of Justice. Not only that, he's not prepared to do that. He's not prepared, of course, to talk about that in that meeting. Categorically and very firm on that. On the other hand, the Venezuelans would have wanted to start from that premise because they do not recognize the international or the United Nations Court of Justice to settle this matter. They prefer, of course, to have a bilateral, meaning both of them sit down and negotiate. The only benefit, therefore, of that exercise in St. Vincent is that, one, the body language and the firm position of either side was firmly established. That's one. Two, it was established among friends. I say friends from the perspective that members of the CARICOM and significantly the Jamaican Prime Minister was not there. We are yet to, of course, analyze as to why the Jamaican Prime Minister was not there, and we are yet to find out if a Jamaican delegation was there, because remember, prior to that a meeting on Thursday last, when Ralph Gonzalez, the Prime Minister of St. Vincent, when he made his press conference, when he had his press conference on the matter, prior to anybody arriving or the meeting itself, he did mention that only 4 players: the Brazilian president, the representative of the UN, and of course the chairman of CARICOM, Dominican Prime Minister Skerrit, and himself. So it was 4 was supposed to be there. Of course, he represented, not only indicating to us that he is the friend of both of them, meaning that both of Irfan Ali and that of Maduro, but he's also there in his capacity as chair of CELAC, the Community of Latin American and Caribbean Countries, CELAC. And then, of course, he went on to say that anybody else is invited if they so desire. I suppose that is how Rowley thought it was important, our Prime Minister, to go there. Of course, you know, long before that, there was a call, and that is where I diverge from the very complimentary, self-serving, egotistic self-praise of the Foreign Affairs Minister talking about Amy Brown, when of course he tried to say that what transpired in St. Vincent vindicated their own position, because people were asking that of course Trinidad and Tobago get involved. Well, he has to be a backside and a half. Amy Brown. You see, when that request was being made, there was no indication that such a very, what I consider to be hurriedly organized meeting would have taken place in St. Vincent. Let me repeat. When the leader of the opposition in Trinidad was asking for Trinidad and Tobago to make some kind of intervention, it was against the background that nobody knew that such a meeting in St. Vincent would have taken place. That's one. Two, it was before as well the emergency meeting that was supposed to take place by, of course, video conference of the heads of CARICOM. So that's another point I believe, and I strongly suggest that you keep in the whole matrix that has evolved. Whether that which occurred in St. Vincent was the best approach is something that we have to evaluate, because all is not yet clear, pellucid, because there is still a 3 months again for them to meet again in Brazil. What we know is that they are not talking about, and they are not prepared to talk about, matters that is before and to be adjudicated upon. And of course the court said let the status quo remain, even though of course Venezuela was bellowing a lot of bellicose and threatening language. That's the only difference. But of course the decision of the International Court of Justice is still to be adjudicated upon, or sit upon, or decided upon. That those are factors that are pellucid and cannot be disputed. So we did know, and therefore for Amy Brown to say that somehow the position that they would have taken in terms of not intervening Trinidad and Tobago, or not taking the advice of the opposition leader, I think it is just self-serving. I think it is opportunistic and stereotypical of the political common nature of this administration. All of them. all of them. Let us look at the facts and the chronology, and let us look at some of the evidence, because the fundamental issue has not been resolved. What happened there is that they met and they agreed to stop. Well, Venezuela agreed to stop the threats, to stop the bellicose language and the action, like mobilizing the army to go into the Essequibo region. So that is what was agreed upon, and full stop. But the substantive matter of who the land Essequibo belongs to is still with the International Court of Justice, which of course Maduro and Venezuela does not recognize. So that is the big elephant in the room or in the atmosphere. And that will be the contention. Whether Maduro will cease in consequential of the Argyle Accord or the Argyle statement, we wait and see. Which of course, all the parties concerned said that both parties, Guyana and Venezuela, agreed to. So we wait and see. Tomorrow, of course, as I said, we'll give a copy of it, so you will have an appreciation as to what exactly was the terms, the conditions, etc., that came out of the meeting. Two other things I think that you need to know is that the credit must go, of course, entirely to Ralph Gonzalez, because it appears that it was his initiative. And of course, when CARICOM met by video conference, it seemed to me that he put it to them, because it appears that he was going anyway along the CELAC route, meaning that as interim chairman of CELAC, he could make that decision, and I'm sure that he would have run robin with his colleagues in Latin America and the rest of the Caribbean. Of course, Caribbean or CARICOM members are also members of that particular grouping. It's a wider grouping than CARICOM. CARICOM, of course, is a subgrouping, if you want to call it that, of CELAC, because it includes Latin American countries, both Central and South American countries, including, of course, Brazil, Peru, Chile, Colombia, Panama, and of course the other countries on the what I consider to be the Central American Isthmus. Yes, the Isthmus, that stretch of land that join North America to South America, and of course it includes Honduras and Guatemala, and of course on the South American part of it, well, of course, it would not only include Chile, Peru, but Paraguay, Uruguay, Argentina, and we can go on and on. But nonetheless, the fact of the matter is that the substantive matter remained the same. That is, unresolved is the dispute itself. Now, what they are prepared to talk about is maybe other, not just incidental, but normal proximity border issues, such as maybe fishing, for example, in each other's waters, something like what we have here in Trinidad with Barbados, infringing of course, the territorial integrity of either side, because of course, let's face it, oil has been discovered, oil and gas has been discovered, and everybody, of course, is jumpy because they want, of course, to get a taste in that, of course, what is considered to be black gold, and they are jumpy, and both sides, but in particular, Venezuela, who suddenly, after many years of dormancy, and of course an arrangement or an agreement in 1899 that talked about giving that area belonging to Guyana. And we also had, of course, in 1966 arrangement where, of course, the Secretary General of the United Nations referred the matter to the International Court of Justice, where it is today, where Guyana went in order, of course, to sort of bring their case to that particular forum in order to, of course, indicate that Venezuela is making a move that is a breach of international decency, international rules, international law, and we could go on. Because remember, they in fact held that referendum in Venezuela on the 3rd of this month, which of course, according to Maduro and they, I mean, you see me smiling because they say something like 80% of the people agreed and some 10 million people voted. Of course, the international observers that were there said, of course, it would have been far less because they hardly see anybody in, of course, in the polling stations and the polling booth to vote for far less to get 10 million people. But that's another matter that we could look at because, of course, we have the presidential elections to be held next year. Of course, under the insistence of the Americans in order to lift as much as possible sanctions that has crippled, of course, the economy of Venezuela because of the undemocratic stance and the emasculation and the usurping and the overtaking or the, should I say, the kidnapping of key institutions in Venezuela, such as, of course, the judiciary and the representative council there, where, of course, Maduro has populated with his own people, and that is not good. Something like what Rowley is attempting to do in Trinidad. And, of course, having said that, let me get to that matter one time that is very disquieting and, of course, does not assist in reducing the crime situation in this country. There are two matters that I want you to pay attention to and that all of us must feel a sense of betrayal, a sense of a fella who will not listen and will not, of course, relent and is bent on getting an unfair advantage at the polls and will, of course, impose his brutal, ruthless, undemocratic and high-handed, as well as his proclivity to disrespect the rule of law. The rule of law, disrespect it and will overstep wherever he gets the chance in a typical case of brinksmanship. I suppose it's because he is in all respects a criminal not only in the context of being prime minister and has infringed the integrity in public life and is prepared, of course, to engage and undermine the democracy which put him in office. But he's prepared, of course, to undermine it. We saw it, of course, in the case of not having international observers stridently said that he will not have any for the local government elections, even though the Privy Council insisted that we should have elections this year. Notice he resisted that, and anybody with a modicum of common sense, and if it is that you are humane, and if it is that you are a Democrat, you will certainly and say, well, listen, people saying, for example, that I am dishonest, so people saying that I'm undemocratic. Okay, I will allow independent observers. No, but in spite of that, 68,000 more people voted for the UNC and its ally than, of course, the PNM. He did not have any and rejected calls for independent observers in Tobago. Well, he got a 14-1 licking, but He knows how significant the national elections is, because you hear him all over the place, and that in spite of all of those things, I still have central government. So it means, therefore, he will take out all the stops. He will go to the extreme in order to retain, even if it's by one seat. 21 is the minimum you could have to win elections in this country. He don't mind that, because he has the proclivity, the tendency to use a slim, a narrow, a emaciated majority, as he has now 22 seats, in order to appear as though he has a landslide. He gets a mandate of a tremendous nature. And mind you, that slim majority we see has caused him, hamburg him, from, of course, having irregular parliamentary sessions in this country. Because when two of them, he and Stuart Young, who are elected representatives, he, Rowley, the representative for Martin West, and I expect him to lose that seat. And of course, Stuart Young, both of them out of the country, elected representative, who is the representative for Portsmouth North, St. Anne's West. I expect him to lose his seat too in the next elections. When two of them are out of the country, they remain with only 20. He ain't taking no chance. So what they do? They shut down the parliament. And that is the reality. They shut down the parliament. So the country cannot run legislatively, or the legislature cannot meet. He, Rowley, will boast and say that he has a deputy, that he will regularly, and of course he has not changed so far, have Imbert to deputize or to act as prime minister, but yet still he closed down parliament. He wouldn't give Imbert a chance to strive as a prime minister in his absence, because he knows that what the figures are, what the ratio is, what the slim majority that will be there, because the reality is that the opposition has 19 seats. So if he and Stuart Young is out of the country and they call the parliament to session to debate whatever, and somebody falls sick, or somebody was unavoidably absent, or somebody reached late, it means therefore it's a 1919 situation. Of course, we have seen it in the past, where of course Anizet George as the speaker, but having a casting vote, will of course vote in favor of the PNM. But let's assume that two persons didn't come out from the remaining 20. It means that they have 18 seats. So she could put how much casting vote she wants. The opposition would have had 19 seats, and that would be, of course, a stalemate of tremendous interest and proportion, because it happened already, where, of course, they thought that the opposition would have agreed to a particular measure, and I think two persons didn't attend, so they end up with a 19. I think three persons didn't attend that session, and they end up with a 1919 situation. Well, Anizet George broke that deadlock twice. She voted twice with a casting vote for, of course, and in favor of the government. Of course, the saying that it has nothing to do with the merits or the demerits and her own conscience. She is saying that tradition dictates that you vote in favor of the government. Let the government have its way when you have a casted vote. Oh, what rubbish. Rubbish. And we have seen it, of course, even when the procurement legislation in the Senate, with, of course, an independent senator making the difference. And today, they are flouting that very law, willy-nilly, helter-skelter, at will, going back to the parliament and retroactively certifying expenditure that otherwise would have been illegal in the frame of things and in the in the operation of the procurement legislation. Is it, of course, a waste of time? Was it an exercise in futility? Was it pure procedural hogwash? Well, of course, you must make the decision. You must judge for yourself. But my position is that they are making a mockery of the procurement legislation, and they didn't do it once or twice, and we expect that they will do it again in the future, making all kinds of flimsy excuses after they were saying from 2016 in that budget, 2017, 2018, that they want procurement, because procurement will, of course, eliminate corruption and, of course, nepotism and cronyism. Now that they have it, and, of course, they have it now under pressure from the opposition, because the opposition said that they was not going to vote for any legislation that would, of course, extend the life of the anti-gang and but I would say anti-bail, because it appears that they don't want to give anybody bail in criminal matters. Of course, and it brings me to the question of Rowley's love for African youths, but looking to generate what I consider to be draconian measures, evil measures, to keep them in prison, when, of course, he was saying in 2015, as we did on Thursday when we last met, that listen, Tamla and them taking advantage of the African youth when she instituted, of course, the SOE to save us and to save themselves. But today, he wants draconian measures because he cannot address and cannot confront and cannot, of course, deal with the rising and burgeoning crime and criminality, including, of course, housebreaking, home invasions, and we see, of course, drive-by killings, a major concern for the society as we continue to strive in a Russian roulette environment, a Russian roulette criminal environment where anybody can be a victim, and they will simply say is what? It's collateral damage. That's what they will say. But tonight, as I said, I would want to go straight, of course, to the whole question of, but just to give you a recap as to what we were talking about on the last occasion with respect to Dr. Rowley's love for African youths. I want to tell those Africans along populated, highly populated, and of course, densely populated, and on which the PNM depends, that small corner, that northwestern corner of Trinidad, they depend on. Of course, you could say that Tobago gone, but of course, he was in Tobago recently, attempted, of course, to delude himself and encourage, of course, sycophants and those who are, that, of course, the PNM is on the resurgency in Tobago. That and a pink donkey he will not see. But of course, he will do it. But once again, discuss, ventilate critically what transpired in St. Vincent. That means, as it may, let me go straight, of course, to what Our Lady Foundation for tonight's exercise. Let's go straight to the lines. A pleasant good night. Pleasant good night. Welcome. Pleasant good night. Welcome. Pleasant good night. Welcome.
Hey, Lennox. Pleasant good night to you.
Yes, good night to you as well.
Pleasant good night to you, Lennox Smith. You hear me loud and clear?
Yes, loud and clear. Loud and clear.
Pleasant good night. Pleasant good night, Trinidad and Tobago. So I see in I think it's in bamboo number 2 where with the PNM build the security booths, they break it down.
Yes. The regional corporation said it was an illegal structure.
Illegal structure.
Yeah.
So Rowley and the ministers and them could have security on them 24/7, and the people at Trinidad and Tobago can have none.
That's essentially what they're
I don't
saying.
know when. I don't know when this. I don't know when the people at Trinidad and Tobago will realize we headed in like Sri Lanka. The people at Trinidad are stupid, according to the Prime Minister. Before laying wake up, all go dead in all this sleep. Doctor not listening.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And that is one of tremendous concern, because people, when your neighbor house is burning, you have to wet yours. Because here it is, the people voluntarily put out their money because, of course, they were the victim of crime. But of course, even though it was illegal in the strictest sense, but the purpose for community satisfaction and for comfort and for their own peace of mind, because the area was being, of course, run over by criminals. And before they create a dialogue, maybe mechanism, so that the community could feel comforted, whilst, of course, the regional corporation, the Tonopuna Regional Corporation, will get its way in the sense of understanding and therefore give approval eventually. They break it down. But as the caller rightly said, there were other places, and I agree, because eventually I saw that they applied, even though theirs wasn't broke down. I saw it, of course, in Westmoreland, but it wasn't broke down. They didn't break it down. They had discussion with the Diego Martin Regional Corporation. Today, of course, just called the Diego Martin Borough. I mean, it's the same thing. It's just that the name changed, but the same conditions, circumstance, etc. And nothing has improved. But the fact of the matter is that today, down at Westmoreland, if you go, you will see that boot equal to, of course, a fence community, a gated community, is still there. It's still there. So the same approach, because there is precedent, the Tonopuna Corporation could have spoken to the Diego Martin and see how they did it, in order to, of course, give some peace and quiet and, of course, stability as well as peace of mind, rather than exposing that community to more crime and criminality. Because let me tell you this, the criminal element is so bold-faced that quagmire, that action by the corporation will give them a license to go in there and continue, of course, to ravage that community and, of course, engage in the blue-collar criminal conduct, home invasion, kidnapping, rape, carjacking, because a lot of course, business inside there deals with car parts. And these days, what those bandits are doing when they get into your home, they take in your washing machine, they take in your stove, etc. Like they walk in with a vehicle to empty people's hard-earned money representation. I'm talking about the fridge, I'm talking about washing machine, I'm talking about stove, etc. Yeah. And you're telling me a regional corporation don't understand that they have a duty and responsibility to protect all of their burgesses? That is a piece of madness. That is something we should be looking at very seriously. Professor, good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Good night, Lennox.
Good night to you.
How you going?
Well, you know, as good as
how they could do that, Lennox? They can't do that. How they could do that? They can't do that, boy. There's one rule for some people and the next rule for others. And you know, when they break down the guard boot, the next night somebody went in that area and thief a car.
I telling you,
2 o'clock in the morning.
I know them. I now say that I say the criminal element will now feel that the cooperation is on their side, so they could go in there now and ravage that place. And you see, you just give me an example of what I just said. But go ahead. Sorry about that.
And you know all these things that the regional corporation doing here, either abetted by PNM talk show host, you know, the jump defense woman who tell them jump defense, run up in the house and deal with them. She should own that remark she think that they should have jailed she for that. Because ever since she make that remark, people start jumping the fence and coming in your house and robbing you. Right? You know what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir, but
and then she have a sidekick there with him.
Statement, yeah.
And she have a sidekick with she there, he's just as worse. And they was calling for that guard to be broken down from ever since it was established.
The madness.
And them don't care, you know. Yeah, them don't care. Them throwing PNM line right through, man. Them don't care at all, Lennox. Because all up in Mount Hope data was at a place they established and they didn't get no approval from regional corporation to Napuna there, you know. And they're running business and all kind of thing up inside there. Somebody can't get grease, that's why. That's why you see that building up there and they ain't go demolish it. And plenty other instances all over the place. But that's why this Trinidad come to, you know, who have more corn feed, more fowl, and exactly what it was highlighting. They were up in that high echelon's place. When they put up the guard boot and Philip Alexander one day, and he made videos on it and all of that. Nobody interfere with them people there. Not a soul. Yeah. You understand? Them don't call regional corporation, no. Them are direct line to minister. So they just tell them, listen, we putting up that booty or they can't stop we. Right? And that is it. They will not call no regional corporation, no council, nobody at all. Them they are direct line to minister. To tell them what to do it. So that is the difference between them and the normal Joe in the street who are the face of the criminal activities going wrong with them. Yeah. I see where people balling they have no money to shop and thing they Lennox.
Yeah.
People ain't buying nothing at all.
That's a norm. And the window shopping in the daytime because you can't do it in the night because of people's storefront. You can't see through again. It is opaque. They have some steel doors that they close up the place tight. They even want you able to see through whatever gate that they would have. They ain't putting gates, you know. They have a solid door that they raise is a moving door, and they lock up the place and go their way. Nobody could window shop in the night now on Frederick Street.
I think people only buying the basic thing they know, like a little bit of food and especially what they need, not what they want, because I hear some of them saying they know what next year bringing, right?
Yes.
They know what next month bringing. Next month is property tax. And Marvin come on the TV last tonight and say he don't know when TNT go implement the rate increase. He liaising with them and the RIC. He's a big minister, he know nothing. So stupid.
I got
in charge of that whole thing, and he know when they go implement it.
Hey, listen, I have a bill. I better show later.
Boy, that man do this for so. Yeah, I know people who get bill and the money the other pay is more than what it was paying before. I don't know if they implemented it, but it's almost like gazetted before they implemented it.
It appears that what the government was asking to say how much it would have been. I understand that is now included. So it means, therefore, they have taken a decision, but pretending not to, merely to appease the fools, those who they wish to hoodwink. But I'll take a look at it. During the course of the program. Go ahead.
I hear Marvin saying too. Marvin saying plans on the way to deal with WASA from next month. But he say he going to deal with the managers in the company, he ain't interfering with the workers. We heard that before, man, Lennox. We heard that down in Petrochin, they not closing down Petrochin. And now the workers ain't going up.
So the managers own
them workers better watch the eyes and the teeth.
The management is government or what?
That
My
man
development
stupid to the
government.
bone, boy. He feel people notice just like he.
Yeah.
Fella short. Them workers going home. They just didn't know that yet. They just try to buy time with that because when next month reach, them cutting everybody throat. Them ain't care, you know. Workers will have to go down the managers. Wasa is a whole what you say in a sinkhole as it is right now. And he is what you say, as a minister, he dey talk a lot of foolishness. You understand? All he go tell people is don't eat macaroni pie and eat ham and thing. Only if he eating that for Christmas. I know the majority of people can't afford that.
But I
So
mean,
he may be eating and drinking that good.
I mean, the level of lunacy in
PNM,
that party, because a big lawyer, talk about Scotland, talk about he ride a bike and he roasting breadfruit on coal pot. I mean, this kind of asinine statements could only come from an ass. I have no respect for them.
and don't forget he say he riding bicycle too, eh? Wait,
Yeah, well,
he
no,
say
I'm
he
saying,
riding bicycle when
yeah,
the man have a
ride
big
bicycle
bend.
to work and all kind of nonsense. Eh? That time he may well have a chauffeur, but he riding. So he put a chauffeur on the bike to pull him along. It looks so. What am I to say? Because the ridiculousness has to be taken to its logical conclusion.
If people like that kind of movie, that kind of foolish talk, and let all of them get away with it, you understand?
Boy,
Prime Minister take a
I
day
don't know
off,
if that is so.
run
You
up
know, I
in
think
St.
they're
Vincent
waving.
to do nothing and come back in Trinidad like if it's a thief in the night. And I see
Yeah.
him talking in Marlene
He
Federal and
thought you
this
would have
one
got
and
to
that
some
one and
kind
thing.
of political federation. So you notice he didn't host the press conference. It was Apron. Sorry, I mean Amy Brown that hosted it. Why I think? Because he got nothing from it, and everybody saw him there like a spectator, as opposed to an active, of course, interlocutor. Let me put it that way. He was not that. He was simply a spectator.
He's an
But tomorrow
ex-fool.
morning we will deal with that. Yes.
That Avery Brown is an ex-fool and all. Before I go, I didn't know your girl Shamfra Kujo get married.
I didn't know that either.
Lennox?
Who might she by?
I hear she carrying the title Lewis now. I hear she
Mrs.
carrying the title Lewis. Sam
Lewis?
Shamfa Kucho Lewis.
Okay.
I want to know where that come from.
All right, well, then it could
It
be a
seems to me she had a
recent,
Tobago wedding during the weekend.
yeah, it could be a recent development. Anyhow, she better
Yeah, she maybe had a
make up
nice
her bed.
Tobago wedding. We didn't
She
get
better
invited.
start to make up her bed. No way the
Yeah,
same
that
government again. No way.
is the biggest secret they had there, boy. That lady get married, nobody know nothing. Not even the press. Oh
Yeah.
God. Trinidad in crisis, Lennox. Have a good day.
Yes, man. And indeed, of course, saying so, she and Dr. Rowley opened the Malabar swimming pool, I think, over the weekend, I think maybe a couple of days ago. But listen, you see, I always tell Laventil people, the people who purport to be leaders, especially where the PNM is concerned, because you see, it's a different type of leadership because of the dominance of the PNM in the area politically and that of the ordinary people like myself. Because, of course, I will be quick to pounce on it and to find out, I am going to find out what has transpired there. You see, when the swimming pool for Soga Trace was announced and Dr. Rowley, again, looking for political fodder and his love, his sudden love, his fake love for the people, he said it was supposed to be costing, of course, and at the same time, trying to look as though he's a frugal prime minister and that the government is a very circumspect and meticulous and looking for every penny to save Trinidad and Tobago, a penny pincher, in other words. But of course, the reality is different. We have the highest amount of what? Of debt ever in this country. Highest amount of debt, nearly 100%. And he met, of course, a debt to GDP ratio of about 44%. He has escalated that to nearly 100%. But he come to save us, and he's a penny pincher. But he will tell that to the Laventil people because when in his first outing as Prime Minister, he ended up saying and telling the people of Laventil, wean off the government. And lay the foundation for what we know today, because he said, because Imbert came back and said that, listen, the subsidies on electricity and water and so on, the government can't carry again. That kind of hogwash, that kind of deception, after he told us that he could produce a blissful life for Trinidad and Tobago, at minimum, a quality of life and standard of living at least equal to that which Kamla Prasad Bisesa left them with, but he will improve on that. He promised a utopia. Boy, it turned out after the last 8 years and counting to be a dystopia. Pain, ache, agony, drudgery, and of course, anxiety after anxiety as they threaten and as they implement new taxes on people's fixed income and not reasonably increase anybody's income. That so-called $2.50 increase on the basic hourly rates in Trinidad and Tobago are talking about, of course, what the ordinary person will have now to get per hour. Basic salary, basic per hour, as put in the laws, consequential of the last presentation of the budget, are talking about minimum wage. Minimum wage, $2.50. And of course, you're talking about property tax alone, compared to what was being paid prior to or during the period of the land and building taxes. You talking about 200% and 300%. It's just as the same trickery, the same chicanery, the same deception, with respect, of course, to taking away the free ride for elderlies on the boats to go to and from Tobago, and say you give them $1,000, but that $1,000 is easily evaporated when you would have, of course, take rides, everybody, in a year, 2 years. That $1,000 becomes null and void and of no effect and no value, in other words. No value. So it's the same kind of deception. It's always something that is sleazy, is cynical, criminalistic, deceptive. And they are comfortable with that and go and sleep without a quiver, without their conscience pricking them. They are unconscionable people. They are beasts in human form, and of the worst kind. And we must acknowledge that as a fact. So I should intervene those that are nuances and those that are variables based, of course, on what the last caller said. But let's get back, of course, to the situation with our senior citizens and their gravitation too much to not be concerned. Gravitation to shoplifting. And when you see the items that they shoplift, you know it's to eat. It's cheese, it's corned beef, it's some snacks that they're wearing some big trousers and they loading it up. You're going to see an embarrassing situation. I am not doing it to embarrass anyone, but I want to prove to you what is happening to our elderlies and what they have to go to. And it may be maybe that the difficulty they are getting to get onto the system haven't reached the age of 60 or 65, sorry, or they may not know how to do it and no one there to help them, and they prefer to go and steal to eat rather than, because they can't tell me you're going and take corned beef from a grocery or some dealership to sell. And it may well be so, because they may have friends who may want something cheaper than normal, because you're gonna see something for $5, and if you steal it, you will sell it for $1 or $2. So the person may see it as a deal, the person who is receiving it. And of course, I doubt they will tell them that they have stolen it, of course, because they have pride. But these are the people who are supposed to be exemplars. These are people who young people have to look up to. These are people who, with them, over their lifespan in Trinidad and Tobago, have inculcated and absorbed the value system that says, do not stretch your hand where it can't reach. Do not take other people's thing if it is not given to you. Do not see someone entering your home or you entering your classroom and don't say good morning, good evening, as the case may be. They are the repository. They are the ones to train the others. They are the ones to hand down the values. And when they themselves have twisted and have perverted the value system by their conduct, what you want these young people to do, particularly when they have a gun in their hand or somebody introduce a gun to them and they're hungry? Do not expect anything different. Dr. Rowley, all you're fanning the flames of a total and absolute mayhem in this country, and of course laying the foundation for violent upheaval in this country. I cannot out of good conscience see that happening and not warn the people that we have a government that is totally ruthless, reckless, heartless, stone-hearted, pig-headed, and of course destructive, and is the greatest threat to our democracy. Rowley and his PNM cohorts are the greatest threat to us, and therefore the evil that will emanate from that can only be a destabilized Trinidad and Tobago. But let me prove it to you. Let me prove it to you. But let's hear what Rowley had to say before. Listen to what he had to say about those young people and Africans in particular.
Ladies and gentlemen, this emancipation celebration that we started in Trinidad and Tobago very many years ago, I distinctly recall, I think it was
at an emancipation 2019,
3-4, because that was
10
started.
years, bleed-hearted, love.
It was a pilot project to focus on trying to prevent the young of the African population in the urban areas from going astray and going so far astray that their behavior could threaten the nation.
People, you'll have to, I'll have to pause, and I've seen some blurriness coming out from the video, so let me see if I can adjust that before we continue. This is too important to have any kind of interruption, so I will just put up the indication that we'll be right back. We'll be right back in order, of course. Let me just adjust that particular issue, all right? So stay tuned, don't move at all. I'll be momentarily back, all right?
Sing wing, boom bang ching, that's how they sing. Shiny parang, shiny parang, shiny parang, wang wang wang. Shiny parang, shiny parang, shiny parang. Give me.
Oh yeah.
but to move my feet. Solely on tuck tuck, Kim Loy on bass, mailing, dancing, and rolling she waist. Mr. Pingshan kept on in his patrol, but what they saying, I really don't know. Wang sing wong wang, boom sing boom pong pong sing boom chong. That's how they song, jingling ling jingling wang, song sing boom pong wang boom ping ping. That's how they sing. Chinese
Emancipation celebration that we started in Trinidad and Tobago very many years ago. I distinctly recall, I think it was in 2003 or 2004, big event in Parliament, because there was a project that was started. It was a pilot project to focus on trying to prevent the young of the African population in the urban areas from going astray and going so far astray.
Let's get on with the show. When they finish sing, they came in my kitchen.
Yes, indeed. Of course, my apology. I had to make some adjustments because the camera was giving us some blur. Let's see if that is corrected. Let's see if that is corrected as we continue.
That's how they song, jingling wang, jingling ping pong, sing boom pang, boom wang wing.
We was getting a blurry look on the screen, so I thought adjustments, so I've done so. Let's continue, of course, with tonight's program. Very interesting indeed, but I don't want you to miss a syllable. I don't want you to miss an adjective. I don't want you to miss a verb. I don't want you to miss a noun. I don't want you to miss a sentence. So I think it has been corrected. I'm taking a look at it, and I'm seeing that things are all right. So let's, of course, go back to Dr. Rowley. This fake love for the African community, and of course on an Emancipation Day. This man, there's a special place in hell for this man. This man is so damn insincere and so damn opportunistic that the man can only be described as a blasted kobo, political kobo.
Ladies and gentlemen, this emancipation celebration that we started in Trinidad and Tobago very many years ago, I distinctly recall, I think it was in 2003 or 2004 thereabouts, there was a big event in our parliament, because there was a project that was started, was a pilot project to focus on trying to prevent the young of the African population in the urban areas from going astray and going so far astray that their behavior could threaten the nation. That project required that the government of Trinidad and Tobago focus on the problems of the urban youth in Trinidad and Tobago, which were largely of African families. And as I stood up for that project, I was accused of racism, because the project was focusing on the problem, and the problem was that Trinidad and Tobago African problem. It wasn't happening in the Chinese community, or the Indian community, or the Arab community. It was a problem in the African community, where the African youth, by the tens of thousands, were going astray and choosing violence and criminality as a way of life. And what is worse, that was coming right out of the breakdown of the families of the African population. And the time has come where this Emancipation Day ought not just to be a day for frivolity and wearing nice African clothes and walking in the street. The time has come for the Afro-Trinidadian population to use Emancipation Day, to focus and reflect and have serious conversations about where we are in a nation where we are underperforming. In a nation where we are underperforming. In a nation where we are underperforming. Sounds bad. These are the facts. Look at the level of violence which is commonplace in Trinidad and Tobago today. Look at the level of violence which is commonplace in Trinidad and Tobago today. Who is affected? Who is carrying it out? Who is defending it? Who is being ignored? Who is being ignored? Who is being ignored? I ask you, let 2019 be that year when we take a commitment, make a commitment that Trinidad and Tobago, its African population, will focus on being the best that we can be in a nation that we can all be proud of. Because Trinidad and Tobago is easily the most attractive, the most beautiful, the nation with the most potential of all the world's people. But let us not for 1 minute believe that this is not a problem for all the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Let us not contribute to our own situation by not doing the best we can in nation building, in family building, in community building in Trinidad and Tobago.
I've said before, I repeat, this government is a narco government. Hard-working citizens are ruthless.
So you would have heard, of course, you would have heard the platitudes and the superficial and superfluous concerns. Because, of course, when one looks at what this government has done in terms of its hypocrisy and its incessant fixation to exploit the African community and to engage in what is called, of course, pseudo-racism, to utilize race in order to be where they are, unqualified, deceptive, have not focused. And I want to tell the Laventille people, you have been shortchanged. You know what I say the Laventille people in particular, you have mainly African that occupy that geographic space. He suddenly loved them. Then, how come the area has not been rewarded as a constituency, as a collective of people who have stayed the course with the PNM, and in its darkest days, give them a lease on life, was the two Laventilles, Laventille East and Laventille West. Oh gosh, Rowley, all you real ungrateful. And it was Camille Robinson Regis would regularly, of course, if she not using a broom to, of course, bring or sweep more blight onto the PNM. She is saying that that ungratefulness is worse than witchcraft. Well, I want to tell her that ungratefulness by the PNM has exhibited over the years, Obia and voodoo. And I say to Laventillians, pinch yourself. Pinch yourself, because if it is that you gave the PNM the lease on life in 1986, how come they have not been able to focus in a way to ameliorate and to, of course, set the people free, socially, economically, intellectually, etc.? Yes, I agree that the most set of churches is in that area. The most set of school concentration is in that area. I agree with that. But something is wrong, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that are lagging behind. If you look at the 2,000 young people that left school and the ministry can't find, the Ministry of Education can't find, bet your bottom dollar 3/4 of them come from Laventille. And let me tell you this, I ain't talking by guess. When we started the MLIO, the Mobile Laventille Improvement Organization, and we focused on these young people who were leaving school, but remember, we started at a time when common entrance was the name of the game. And common entrance meant that those who didn't pass, because there were limited school places, had to stay back in school, and they will go on to the 7th standard somewhere there. But most of them would have left school and gone learn a trade, or just stay idly by the wayside. But I want to tell you, of the 9,000 or so that would have not found a place because of the system at the time under common entrance, well, our study showed that between 700 and 900 of them was from Laventille alone, and I'm talking about geographic Laventille. I'm talking about maybe from the Piccadilly Street, go right back to around just before Malik, or nestled in Movant. You know what is that? 900 alone from that community alone. And thus our efforts and our determination to set up an institution to capture those young people who would otherwise be idle, and Satan has always have work for idle hands, and so get themselves involved in crime and criminality in the hands of the police and occupy the prisons of this country. And I lay the responsibility and the neglect on the PNM, because they have been given a lease on life by the PNM. The PNM has been given a lease on political life by the Laventille people, the electorate, and they turn back and bite them like a blasted alligator. See them as meat, fodder, and they are a political bank. They see them as a voter bank, full stop, and they will do anything. So people like Hines and others, his predecessors and Leons, can come and right there and of course do what the political directorate from Balize House say, even though it is inimical and does not advance the cause of the people in terms of the quality of life and standard of living, and of course the development of the human capacity and the ability, of course, to look and be trained in order to advance themselves and their families. Let's go to the lines. Caller, call back. I think we lost you. But that is the reality. PNM owes a debt of gratitude to the Laventilles. And the leaders, I spoke to you last week about what they have done to desperados, and the embarrassment and the humiliation and the destruction that will come upon desperados if they stay where the government put them, on Nelson Street, between Nelson Street and George Street, a place where international persons that are coming here for holiday or business, their governments tell them, do not come to Laventille, do not come on Nelson Street. Yet still Rowley tell them that he expects that tourists will come there. Man, if he was on Prince Street, I tell him where he mother make him when he make a statement like that. You know what I say? I say, I tell him where he mother make him. Who you come mama guy with that? And it is a measure, or should I say, my displeasure to, of course, have big leaders, the band, the community, and so on, not expressing fervently and forcefully that your mama guying us, that the government of Trinidad and Tobago, the PNM mama guying the people of Laventille of unqualified decadence, and of course with evil intent. Yeah, that's how I see it. I can't see it no other way. And you still have an opportunity to salvage, because you have 2025 coming up, to show them where the hell to get off. How you going to put despots on Nelson Street? How you going to put despots on Nelson Street? And at the same time, they want, of course, to gentrify the area. At the same time, the people who grew up there, who have a relationship with Port of Spain and so on, all they need to do is to address the attitudinal change that is required. All they have to do is to deal with the source there and deal with people who know. But no, they will not. They prefer to get rid of you and carry the problem elsewhere in the country. Elsewhere in the country. A pleasant good night. Welcome. Good night to you.
Right? And if I when this is so, you highlight money and not the chart about the point neighborhood, right? You will want to snack, but only sort of thing when you come into she will push you with her own thing. And he was alluding to the fact that people thought that this was a normal thing. So they were expecting that every time she come in the office for them to issue that. I wonder if he trained and when he public outside here, right? Just like how we just like how we done. If he trained it, then he's supposed to give him something for free. That he's not supposed to be dependent on the government when they give him something all the time. Because now I don't like it enough. And he has something with words. But he's a man, they give him charity service. You know what he can only give anything to anybody.
At all. And even when others get in in his constituency, he tell them don't take it. As how he said about the vaccines, to get something free is debasing and that evil man. But he ain't giving it. He in a position to give. He ain't giving. But you mustn't take if you're getting it free. But yes, but that's it. Yeah, but he eating half lava jam, yes. Yeah, he eating everything else, everything. I know why he get constipated with them nice thing he eating. Yeah. Well, I trust that what we are saying here will not resonate that way. Yeah. Typical dictator. Typical dictator. You think Castro eating what them ordinary people out there eating? Yeah. And then well, I heard Kamala Prasad Bisesa asking, I understand that they were supposed to issue some food cards, and that would, of course, be substitute or just as good as a hamper. But there was up to the last meeting of the UNC, parliamentarians didn't get any, so I don't know what's the situation. All right, thank you. Yes, indeed. So there we have it. The caller is right on the button in terms of the conduct and attitude of these people. And at that funeral, he was trying to make a joke. He's trying to make a joke. He said that she would bring, of course, snacks for everybody when they're having their executive meeting as deputy political leader at that point in time. And that it turned out, and listen to this, listen how any port for a political opportunity is this man. How devastatingly opportunistic he is and dangerous. That Rowley fella. He said that she will bring snacks and everybody will eat. She will share to everybody before a meeting starts. You know, he went on, and it reminds me as how he went on when he said that Bill Gates called the foundation and say that we, Trinidad and Tobago, is to be the beneficiary of a substantial amount of money from that facility, from that establishment. It reminds me of that. And I want to tell you specifically what I mean by that. Because when he was talking about Marlene McDonald giving out snacks, listen, snacks. The operator with the snacks here, so I don't want you to lose the essence of what I'm going to say and what I'm referring to. He then says, to make it look much more embellished and much more, of course, for him probably realistic. He says that so much so, he went on, so much so that when some people used to come to the meeting without food and expecting to get from Marlene. You know what I say? But she was sharing snacks. Who come in with the belly empty to get snacks? Oh God, Rowley. Oh gosh. You're talking so much shit that, I mean, come on, eat some of it, man. Eat some of it. Copophagia, eat some of it. Copophagia. People who eat their own filth. Eat your own filth, by. Who come in with the belly empty to get snacks from Marlene McDonald, Rowley? Well, I say so because I want to tell you, it reminds me of when he come and tell us that the Bill Gates Foundation is supposed to donate to Trinidad and Tobago a not insubstantial amount of money. You know, he like these hyperboles, a not so substantial, insubstantial amount of money. And of course, he got a call from the what? From the United Nations Secretary General. So it sounds good. And before the night turned 12 o'clock, like he turned to concrete. I don't know if he's a Dwen or something, but by 12 o'clock, he is issuing a press release now saying that somebody fooled him. Somebody from Nigeria fooled him. Them scamps and them con men, those scam men scam him. So he want to come back and tell us, because he had to explain how the United Nations Secretary General get involved in that. His invention, you know, his invention is the same thing recently with Marlene McDonald. She's sharing snacks, but people just come hungry in order to get her snacks. Oh gosh, come on, man. Come on. And it's not the first or second or third time. He always does that. He told us about Donald Trump giving him a telephone call, and he was in the bathroom. He was in his bathroom, so maybe in his bathroom. And of course, and when he picked up the phone, he heard it was Donald Trump looking to arrogate unto himself some importance that we know he doesn't have. The man has a serious inferiority complex. And guess what? At the end of the day, we get to find out that the same fella Gill, who of course take $100 million from Republic Bank in order to finance a failed project. I'm talking about Naikwan. Now, of course, owing everybody. Is he was a lobbyist for the PNM in the United States, and he paid to get Trump to call Rowley in Trinidad. Oh gosh, man, you're overdoing it, Rowley. Get the hell out of office. You are a fake. And mind you, everything, you know, he just get an honorary doctorate. So of course Biden, they know Biden would have been there. So it was a good opportunity for him to get a one-on-one with Biden through that route. Because, well, we were looking on. All of us look on. And we said, oh boy, Rowley get an honorary doctorate from this university that has a fair reputation, I think, particularly among the black community in the United States. So we look in. But a fellow like me will always take what Rowley is involved in with not a pinch, not a spoon, but a truckload, if not a whole sea load as salt. It turns out that the man who was giving him all those accolades, who was reading out, of course, a dissertation about his accomplishments and achievements, it turned out that he's a man that is Rowley friend, that also got, I think, if not the highest award that Trinidad could offer, and therefore it turned out to be an exercise in reciprocity. In other words, he returned the favor to Rowley. And most likely knowing full well that Rowley ain't doing no damn good in Trinidad, because he would have known that, of course, he get licks to a frazzle in terms of Tobago, where he come from. So it looking as though he looking, of course, to try to promote Rowley in a manner that will, of course, impede and impugn the integrity of the institution itself that was given that honorary doctorate to Rowley. Because, of course, you know, a fellow like me will write the university, will write Biden and tell Biden that that whole thing was a setup. Yeah, That is the hubris we have. That is the fake we have as either a blasted rapist and a pedophile. Just a matter of time. Just a matter of time. No evil of that detrimental nature survives indefinitely.
Robbed and beaten on the streets.
Listen to
Or what-
Kamala now. She was
beaten
correct.
by the gang leaders. Home invasions, a horrible fact of life.
Our elderlies are under threat. Our elders are under threat, people, and they are also engaged in conduct that you will not expect an elderly to be engaged in at this time. Look at this now. Let's go straight to the lines. Pleasant good night. Pleasant good night, welcome. Yes, loud and clear.
Chocolate ni bako.
Yeah. I can imagine. but that man is a fake boy. A fake and a half, you know, man. Well, no, you need to make a mockery of this thing and this man. Yeah, they're making a nonsense of this thing. Is laughable. It's laughable. And you hear April Brown, Amy Brown talking a bunch of hogwash. Sit round into that exercise on last Thursday. Rav Gonzalez got all the credit, all the fame. He had to continue with the process and so on. Amy Brown said, yeah. Amy Brown said, you would be surprised to see all of the behind the scenes conduct. But we saw Rowley there, and he was chatting and looking at on a phone. He was playing some kind of game with Mayor Motley, and Mayor Motley ended up being at the head table, and he was part of the spectators. Yeah, but he come back here telling us that Rowley played some significant role. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, if he go, the same thing I say, what's Rowley deal with that is war for sure. Yeah. You're right. Yeah. Because he almost caused the Third World War when he bring Delcy Rodriguez here.
I know something in my fellow PG and I agreement to talk man because he won't show the father what you will be about.
I tell you, man. I mean, you got to be. Yeah, man. I mean, you have to make a mockery of these fellas. It's ludicrous. It is stupid. It is asinine. It is irrational. It is illogical. Every single thing the man does is always for some kind of projection that he is more than what he's saying he is and what we know he is. And when we delve into it in terms of a critical examination, he does not meet the minimum of standard. Doesn't meet the minimum of standard, but 30 pieces of silver with fellas like Amy Brown and of course all of the ministers, because all of them will have to face blue lights and of course silver bracelets, having regard to what they have done collectively, making decisions to destroy Trinidad and Tobago. Whether it be in the case of the closing down of Petrotrain, all of them made that decision. Whether it be that situation with, of course, Vincent Nelson and $10 million, they must know. They must have known. The fact that they did not appeal the case with AV drilling, they must have known. The Attorney General is not a law unto himself. That's what Rowley trying to tell us. When they are caught with their pants and panty down. Yeah, the pants and panty down. State it how you wish. When they are caught with the pants and panty down, they then, of course, deflect attention. But the tenacity with which we view them and the expectation that they will engage in that kind of behavior, dotish as it is, malicious as it is, abusive as it is, and that is to try to entrap in order to make themselves look good. And they didn't care if they destroy the character and the career of people, particularly if they see them as political enemy. I'm talking about, of course, a former AG, the best in Trinidad and Tobago, clearly, because they beat them with a frazzle up and down the place. I'm talking about, of course, Anand Ramlogan and Ramdeen. And, of course, we have to brace apart from, of course, looking for more money through increased taxes and, of course, the payment of light bills and water rates and so on. The Anand Ramlogan and his colleague will certainly put a dent on the treasury further when they take a ton in, of course, Rowley and their backsides for the nastiness that they would have initiated, and the vindictiveness and the undermining of the rule of law and the subversion of the course of criminal justice. All the time, Rowley saying that they are going to, of course, get the opposition, former government, because of what they did to the country, never telling us what, but they did to the country, and to put them in handcuffs and, of course, in blue lights. And it turns out that they are the ones are going to end up in the blasted blue lights and handcuffs. Be careful what you wish for others. Oh, what a tangle web we weave when we first set out to deceive. And the hole you dig for others, especially if it is unjust and unmeritorious, be careful, you'll fall in it. And be careful what you wish for, because something always boot, because it is about deception in order to raid the treasury, rape the treasury, pillage the treasury like blasted pirates, political pirates, and a political cabal. And no doubt, engaging in all kinds of nefarious acts that we are yet to unearth. But as they come, we will share. Let us look at what they have done to the elderly in this country. And this is just a microcosm of what is happening. This man resort, of course, to stealing elderly. So that's on the what I consider to be the upper side. And the lower side is that our young people, 16 and below, killing, maiming, hijacking, home invasion. I know that you're anxious. Let's get there one time. This is a senior citizen that was caught stealing. And when you look at the items, you'll see clearly it was wrong, but it's to feed himself. And one wonders, I hope that when the authorities see this one, they will try to search for this man and see what has transpired. It may be that they may be telling him that he's unqualified to get, of course, the senior citizen grant or pension, senior citizen pension. I'm sure. Let's look at it.
Don't forget the chocolate in the back pocket. Chocolate.
Out everything, eh?
Taking out everything.
Yeah, everything to take out.
Everything I'm taking out.
Yeah.
Everything.
But let's pull out now, man.
We'll go take your time now. And do that.
Let's pull out.
Taking out everything.
All of them Leanne.
Yeah, Jill.
Now we're going to look for one all them.
Wow.
And the cheese. Chocolate, the cheese. Don't forget in that pocket, eh?
Down to cheese, a tin of corned beef, banpini buns, snacks.
Yes, no.
So if you have grandchildren or something, I want to make them feel happy. Look the cheese there.
Back pocket, right, you ready for chocolate? Don't forget the chocolate in the back pocket. Chocolate.
Out everything, eh?
Taking out everything.
Yeah, everything to take out.
Everything I'm taking out.
Yeah.
Everything.
But
So on the one hand, the elderly are shoplifting, and on the other hand, the youths are mercilessly taking advantage of them. Something has gone wrong with Let's see if I get back the video. But I think you got the gist of it. You got the gist of it, people. Just imagine that. All right, here we go. Yes,
Don't
indeed.
forget the chocolate in the back pocket.
Look,
Chocolate.
out everything, eh?
Taking out everything.
Yeah, everything to take out.
Everything I'm
the
taking out.
man pocket
But
looking as though
let's pull out now, man.
it could fit the contents of a handbag.
Pull out. Let's
Like
pull
he
out.
went shopping. But his bag is the pants pocket and his waist, etc. Look.
All of them Leanne.
Yeah, Jill.
Now we're going to look for one all them.
Wow.
And the cheese. Chocolate, the cheese. Don't forget in that pocket, eh?
You hear the utterance? I mean, that is shameful. The man could be,
Yes,
I'm
no,
sure
no.
the person was just father, but of course he wouldn't be sensitive. But I mean, he's a businessman, so he's expected to take that rough position because he doesn't want a repetition. But look, the man there. And I want some of you to, I want to pause it here because I want you to tell me that looked like an Indian man. To me, look like an Indian man. One expects that an African will be doing that. It's an Indian, so it is across the board. You know, Rowley will have a propensity to either try to defend or try to promote it as a racial thing. But this is not that. It's clear that everybody is feeling it under pressure. That man seemed to be, even though he doesn't have any hair on his head, but when I look at it close up, it looks as though he's an Indian man who, of course, was engaged in shoplifting. And clearly, let's look at some of the items that he stuck inside of his pockets, and he was ordered, of course, to empty. At least the business person did not call the police. I'm glad for that because remember I told you of a situation where the guy reached a pensionable age and they told me that he just make a 6 months. So I say, for what? They tell me that for shoplifting. So that is why it will have a concern for people like me. Is that another phenomenon that Rowley and they pretending that they don't know, because that is what they will do until, of course, issues like these are raised in the public domain, as I'm doing tonight, to let Rowley and them know. Go and find these senior citizens who are suffering. Look at this. But this is shameful.
Don't forget the chocolate in the back pocket.
Shameful, look, shameful.
Out everything, huh?
Taking out everything.
Yeah, everything to take out.
Everything are taking out.
Shameful.
Everything.
But let's pull out now, man.
Go, so take your time now. Not too bad.
Trying
Pull out,
to
let's pull out.
regain some dignity.
No,
But of course,
let's
we
go.
put it and so on, he's taking out these things. It's humiliating.
Yeah, jail. Wow.
And the cheese, chocolate, the cheese, and forget in that pocket.
Corned beef, cheese, snacks. Wanted to show you that is in fact so, and it's not Viking talk or old talk, but and as I said, that looked like an Indian guy who was engaged in that most shameful and of course humiliating scenario. That's not all. The young people now are attacking the senior citizens. Look, attacking the senior citizens.
Out everything, huh?
Taking out everything.
Yeah,
So
everything to
they
take
have
out.
been driven to
Everything.
stealing,
Yeah.
and look now,
But
young people beating
let's
them
pull out
up,
now, man.
invading their homes.
Not too bad.
Let's pull out.
What a tragedy!
See these boots I'm wearing?
And listen to Rowley now.
We the farmers of Tobago and Texas, we call
Understand
them
where
shit
the
or approach
examples come from.
talk about party elites and meet them outside on the pavement. See these boots I'm wearing? We the farmers of Tobago and Texas, we call them shit pickers, right? And I'm hoping that I'll meet Dr. Munilal today, but I haven't met him so far. See these boots I'm wearing? We the farmers of Tobago and Texas, we call them shit pickers, right? We call them shit pickers, right? Take it in your boot. See these boots I'm wearing? We the farmers of Tobago and Texas, we call them shit pickers, right? Or approach east, want to talk about party elites and meet them outside on the pavement. See these boots I'm wearing? We the farmers of Tobago and Texas, we call them shit pickers, right? And I'm hoping that I'll meet Dr. Munilal today, but I haven't met him so far. See these boots I'm wearing? We the farmers of Tobago and Texas, we call them shit pickers, right?
Yeah.
Don't forget the chocolate in the back pocket.
People, that is where it is today, Christmas time. And you have these elderlies having to steal to eat. He didn't steal a shovel, you know. It's food. He went into a food place. And then you saw where young people using their feet. That is something that our parents taught us you can't do. But these young people have no sense of sympathy, no sense of compassion, no sense of dignity and pride and, of course, decency. They are simply belligerent. They are bullies. They are evil. They are, of course, engaged in brutal physical harm to others. And that is just a microcosm. And they do that to themselves in the schools as well. And they attack teachers as well. That young man that kicked that woman, they found him in one of the schools in Barataria secondary schools. Understand that. I'm going to leave it there. We have come, of course, to the end of the night. I know that it has been, of course, one. But don't forget, people, we continue from about Wednesday. We will be beginning to distribute our hampers that we would have collected. I want to thank all of those who made contributions. But, of course, I forgot to tell you, please share. Like. And subscribe on YouTube because it is important as we go to the next phase early next year when we will be communicating with the world leaders. People, it is trying times. It is awful times. It is wicked times. I urge you to be careful. I urge you, please, not to give the opportunity by being or giving a modicum of callousness because as soon as you slip Please. But of course, I want to tell the population as well, especially the businessmen, when these senior citizens, you see them on the streets and so on, ask a question. Ask a question, please. If a question was asked of that man, he would not have been in that embarrassing position, I'm sure. But they have the pride and the dignity, so you have to ask, because they're from old school. You hear him? Even though they was telling him take the thing out of the pocket, he was asking them to hold on now, wait now, because he tried to salvage some kind of pride in such a very embarrassing situation. And Rowley and they have no clue as to how to solve that. Look what is happening to our elderly. Watch that kick inside the backbone of this elderly lady. Just come out from the bank with some money. The spinal cord probably in the fray, in the anxiety, in the anxiousness of the moment. But I'm sure she would have had some serious pain with that level of, that force of that kick into her spinal cord, into her spine, into her vertebral column. Oh my goodness, people. But people, we have come to the end of tonight. I'm going to leave it, of course, there for you to have a comprehensive view as to what is happening to our young people and our elderlies. I think it is crucial that we understand. So, of course, don't forget tomorrow morning, Dr. Khalid and myself from 8 to 10 o'clock in the morning, we will be looking, of course, extensively at the outcome of the Guyana, Venezuela discourse in St. Vincent and the part played by all the players, including, of course, our Prime Minister, if he played at all any. Let's go straight, of course, to the lines. This is the final call before I'll answer before we make our departure. Plus, a good night. Hey. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Right.
And the lady who were beaten on the ground, would you believe our policeman after that matter happened was trying to bribe the lady which she took about some money and the lady?
Oh, Shims. I didn't know that.
You remember that story?
Yeah, I remember the story, but I didn't know it was that particular incident. All right, I'll check it out. Yeah, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Yeah, because that same incident, a policeman was trying to bribe the woman to give us so much money.
What the hell is this, bud? Yeah, well, I have a saying, when things bad, when you're someone like Rowley, wet toilet paper just cut you. Rowley getting cut with even that. I to tell you. All right, thanks very much, of course, and we have come to the end, people. I trust that this has been eye-opener. It has been, of course, enlightening, and of course I trust that you will be very careful out there. Don't forget, once again, of course, the number to call here every night when we are here, of course, 337-6940, 337-6940, and of course to call by assistant for any contribution you can make to our hamper drive, 336-6594, 336-6594. The numbers are there passing, and of course I want to tell you, have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. And don't forget, tomorrow morning, the corridor transformation will be at your service from 8 in the morning to 10. Tell a friend, you lock on as we analyze, of course, what transpired in Argyle, St. Vincent, only last Thursday, with respect to the discussions between Venezuela and Guyana on the land dispute that they have, of course, respectively given different, should I say, taking different positions as to where the matter should be and how the matter should be resolved. So really and truly, really nothing was accomplished in a real sense, except of course that they met in the same room and will be meeting again in Brazil in 3 months' time to of course continue the discussion. Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless, and see you tomorrow morning and then tomorrow night. All right, let's get back to our Chinese parang. I love that one. Chinese parang indeed.
Tingling, ting, tingling, bang, boom, sing, boom, wing, bang, boom, wing. That's how they sing. Chinese parang, Chinese parang, Chinese parang, wang, wang, wang. Chinese parang, Chinese parang, Chinese parang. Give me just to Tyson.
One time, two time, two time. Oh.
I open my door and invite them in. The leader of the band start introducing. One name Ling Long, he write the song. One name Lin Sing, he kept on singing. Mr. Ping Chang was the main quattro man. Ah Chong and Lee, they were back up for he. Pong sing, pong pang, wong sing, wong wong, pong sang chong. That's how they sung. Jingling wang, jingling pong pang, pong sing wing, pong pang ching. That's how they sing. Chinese parang, Chinese parang.
Oh yeah, 1, 2, 3, yeah.
The girls in the band sounding real sweet. I had no choice but to move my feet. Sully on top, Kim Loy on bass, Mailing dancing and rolling she waist. Mr. Ping Chang kept on in his quattro, but what they saying I really don't know. Wang sing wong wang, boom sing boom pong pong sing boom chong. That's how they song. Jingling ling jingling wang, song sing boom pong wang boom ping ping. That's how they sing. Chinese parang, Chinese parang, Chinese parang, wang wang wang. Chinese parang, Chinese parang, Chinese parang. Give me just to Tyson.
Kau di dokan lai, kau di dokan lai. Alright. Oh.
I told them take a break and it piece a cake, but they told me no, let's get on with the show. When they finished sing, they came in my kitchen and at my table they was staring. I offered them ham, turkey and fowl, but all they wanted was just to cat and fowl. Pong sing, pong pong, chong sing, woo wong, pong song pong. That's how they song. Jingling wang, jingling ping, pong sing, pong pang, wong wang wing. That's how they sing. Chinese parang, Chinese parang, Chinese parang, wang wang wang. Chinese parang, Chinese parang, Chinese parang. Give it just to Tyson. Chinese parang, Chinese parang, Chinese parang, wang wang wang.
Let's pull out, let's pull out.
Almost lian.
Yeah, Jill. Wow.
And the cheese, chocolate, the cheese, and forget to not pocket it. That's no, I know organizing it. Back up, right, you ready for food? Don't forget the chocolate in the back pocket. Chocolate.
Pull out everything, huh?
Taking out everything.
Yeah, everything to take out.
Everything I'm taking out.
Yeah.
Everything.
Bad. Let's pull out now, man.
Go for ticket time now.
Let's pull out. Let's pull out.
See these boots I'm wearing? We the farmers of Tobago and Texas, we call them shit pickers, right? Or approach east. Want to talk about party elites and meet them outside on the pavement. See these boots I'm wearing? We the farmers of Tobago and Texas, we call them shit pickers, right? And I'm hoping that I'll meet Dr. Munilal today, but I haven't met him so far. See these boots I'm wearing? We the farmers of Tobago and Texas, we call them shit pickers, right? We call them shit pickers, right? Take it in your boot. See these boots I'm wearing? We the farmers of Tobago and Texas, we call them shit pickers, right? Or approach east. Want to talk about party elites and meet them outside on the pavement. See these boots I'm wearing? We the farmers of Tobago and Texas, we call them shit pickers, right? And I'm hoping that I'll meet Dr. Munilal today, but I haven't met him so far. See these boots I'm wearing? We the farmers of Tobago and Texas, we call them shit pickers, right? We call them shit pickers, right?
Don't forget the chocolate in the back pocket. Chocolate.
Pull out everything, eh?
Taking out everything.
Yeah, everything to take out.
Everything I'm taking out.
Yeah.
Everything.
Let's pull out now, man.
Go for ticket time now.
Let's pull out. Let's pull out.
Taking out everything.
Almost lian.
Yeah, Jill. Wow.
And the cheese. Chocolate, the cheese. Don't forget in that pocket, eh? There's no, I know organizing it. Back pocket, right, you ready for something? Don't forget the chocolate in the back pocket. Chocolate.
Pull out everything, eh?
Taking out everything.
Yeah, everything to take out.
Everything I'm taking out.
Yeah.
Everything.
Let's pull out now, man.
Go for ticket time now.
Let's pull out. Let's pull out.
See these boots I'm wearing? We the farmers of Tobago and Texas, we call them shit pickers, right? Or approach east. Want to talk about party elites and meet them outside on the pavement. See these boots I'm wearing? We the farmers of Tobago and Texas, we call them shit pickers, right? And I'm hoping that I'll meet Dr. Munilal today, but I haven't met him so far. See these boots I'm wearing? We the farmers of Tobago and Texas, we call them shit pickers, right? We call them shit pickers, right? Take it in your boot. See these boots I'm wearing? We the farmers of Tobago and Texas, we call them shit pickers, right? Or approach east. Want to talk about party elites and meet them outside on the pavement. See these boots I'm wearing? We the farmers of Tobago and Texas, we call them shit pickers, right? And I'm hoping that I'll meet Dr. Munilal today, but I haven't met him so far. See these boots I'm wearing? We the farmers of Tobago and Texas, we call them shit pickers, right? We call them shit pickers,
How
right?
happy your son will be.
Don't forget the chocolate in the back.
Pull out everything, eh? Yeah, everything to take out.
She looked at him very sad as the water filled her eyes. To realize that she hadn't the answer for his cries. She was so worried, yes, so worried and so confused. As they strolled along the street, no shoes on his feet. While they walked, he continued to repeat as he pleaded, listen mama, I want you to tell Santa Claus to bring a trumpet and a concertina for me. I am lonely, cause there's no children nearby me. Ma, you don't know how happy your son would be. I approached approached her and promised to give a helping hand. She said to me, Mr. Knapp, you can do the best you can. I gave her money and asked her, miss, where you live. That night at 12 o'clock, I brought a lovely box. The next day, she was so merry and gay when she heard, listen, mama, I want you to thank Santa Claus for the concertina and the trumpet he brought for me. I'm so happy, I have no time to take some tea. Oh, what a nice Godfather he is to me.